I uninvited my sister to my son's birthday party after she ignored him.
Yeah, she would probably want his gifts too if she came.
And this comes directly from the OK Storytime subreddit. Me, 27 female, and my oldest sister, 36 female, about to be 37, do not get along, especially now as we got older. Ever since I can remember, she's truly been awful. By the way, this comes from Commercial Time 7696. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. I'm Carly.
I'm Dakota.
I'm Keon.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we would do, so let us know what you would do in the comments. I've always given her grace because she had a terrible childhood, but I can no longer give grace for that anymore. Me and my sister pretty much always never got along. My mother left me in a different state with her when I was 14. Then sister and I got close. I was always close with my two nephews she had. Oldest is 6 years younger than me, and middle is about to be 18, and then youngest is 8 years old. I worked and all my money went to her. My sister always did, in a lot of ways, have my back. She didn't have to keep me when my mom abandoned me, but she did, which I'm grateful for. We moved back. I'm working 2 jobs, helping with bills, and her kids at the age of 15, not going to school. She gets all my money. We get into a fight. I move back in with my mom. I had my daughter, as well as both my sisters and my little brother all had our babies the same year, 2017. So we all got really close with the kids being the same age. Me and my oldest sister stayed fighting, making up, fighting, and making up. Fast forward to about 3 years ago, I've really started to distance myself from my oldest sister, but I let my daughter be around her and go over there. I tried hard to keep a relationship with her. She'd say stuff about how no one cared about her in this family and she wished she just stayed in the other state away from us. I told her that we all invite her to do things, but she denies it all the time. So me and my other sister, we will call her Jill, and my oldest sister, Betty, ended up hanging out without her because she just would always say no. I eventually wouldn't ask her to do certain things because Betty would always say no. She got upset about that and was like, well, you could at least ask. I explained how much it hurt every time she said that she wished she was never around us. She has put no effort into changing anything and just cries that we're all excluding her and her children and we treat them less than. We've actually walked on eggshells around her and have gone out of our way to overpay my nephews for jobs like cutting the grass, getting them gifts so she wouldn't feel excluded. She was never satisfied. I got with my fiance and we now have a son together who's about to be 1. Before I had him, I was at my mother's with both my sisters and their kids. I've not been really speaking to Betty that much, just being cordial. Well, everyone goes outside. It's just me and her in the dining room and I go to make small talk. I started talking about my daughter's hair and how I struggle to keep her curls and her hair from drying. Betty brought up her hair, saying it does the same thing. I said, Mom used something in my daughter's hair and it was really good. Made her hair soft, not dry, and her curls lasted. I don't know what it was though. Betty gets offended and starts going in on me about none of us know how much she takes care of her hair and how much money she spends on her hair products. I just said okay and tried to change the subject. Later that evening, I heard her tell our niece no very rudely. All I said was, dang, Betty, that was a little mean. Evening goes fine. My daughter asks to stay the night with Betty and her cousin, who's the same age. They were really close. I said yes. Betty let my niece hang out for a while too, but not stay the night because she's too much. I get a call from Betty that the kids, her son and my daughter, were not treating our niece nicely. She tells me she got into them and then tells me when she was talking, she said, we don't bully. And my daughter said, why? I told her to give the phone to my kid because she knows why we don't bully, and that's inexcusable. And she does not speak to her aunt that way. As I'm getting on to my daughter, telling her she will have a consequence when she comes home, Betty gets mad at something, takes the phone from my daughter, and starts going off on me about getting on to my daughter. I told her I'm not undermining her. I was backing her up, and I agree with her getting on to the kids, but I do not agree with how my daughter spoke to her. Betty isn't having it. She keeps cutting me off, says I hurt her feelings before about her hair, then starts going off about my niece and how she's a lot to handle, and I really just saying a bunch of bad things about her. I couldn't get a single word in. My fiance got mad and finally told her to stop talking about our niece like that. Betty backtracks, says she didn't say anything bad about her. Her and my fiance are arguing. I kind of froze. She hangs up, blows my phone up with at least 13 texts saying, I'm different now that I'm with someone and I always change. Blows my fiance's Blue app up and blocks him. I call her, she ignores me, so I said I'm picking up my kid. I get there and she has my kid out the door with her stuff. Turns out the story Betty told me wasn't the truth. Me and Betty get into an argument that night. I told family I was done, but everyone begged for me to show up to family events and just be cordial. So I did. During this time, she never asked about my son, asked about his name. Instead, she blames everyone else for the reason she didn't know his name. I had my son. My daughter was with my mother and nephew, Betty's son. My mother had to leave and Betty had my daughter. I didn't like it, but I was trying to be cordial and mend the relationship with Betty. I told her I wanted to talk, but not yet because I had my son and I didn't want to be hormonal. She agreed and said she had a lot going on apparently too. I let her see my son when he was born. I stayed cordial and a few months go by. She asks if my daughter can stay the night. I said she cannot stay the night until we discuss the last incident. She said she didn't want to because it would just cause a fight.
That's the most exhausting perspective to have on talking out your problems. No, we can't have a discussion about that because I'm just going to make it impossible, is what she meant.
I apologized for the way I worded getting on to my kid, making it seem like I was undermining her. I apologized for not stepping in and finishing the conversation with her since she is my sister. She calls, says she can't read it. I said, well, let me read it to you on the phone. She said, okay. As I'm reading, she keeps cutting me off. Well, what about this? What about my fiance? As I'm currently reading and apologizing. Then she says, well, if we're going to talk about this, then we need to bring up everything from the past. I said, we don't, but if you have something you want to bring up, then we can another time. But right now, this is about this. She's just cutting me off, being rude, and mocking my apologies. Then is like, well, what else? And I'm like, Betty, I don't know what the heck you want from me. I took accountability. I apologized, and I said I'll fix it. There is nothing else I can do. She just keeps on cutting me off, so I finally snap. I tell her to just shut up and let me talk, and she'd get her answers. I said I'm trying to be a good sister and work with her, communicate and fix this relationship, and she's being impossible. She hangs up. I texted something along the same lines and told her to leave me alone. This was almost exactly a year ago. I didn't want anything to do with her, but my family asked me to continue to be cordial at family events. So I do, but we're not friends on the Blue app. We don't text and we don't hang out. And at family events, I keep my communication very limited with her. She didn't come to my daughter's birthday, but dropped off a gift with my mom. My son's birthday party's coming up. I have stayed cordial with my sister in the family chat, showed up to events, and kept the communication to a minimum. I invited everyone in the group chat to my son's birthday, including Betty. We made small talk in the chat and liked each other's kids' pictures. She would comment on my kids when I shared pictures. We lost my youngest nephew just shy of 2 months. He passed away, so that situation kind of broke the no communication as we all needed to be there for our sister Jill. This is what brought small communication between me and Betty. Well, with the government shut down, Betty posts about WIC and EBT being shut down. We talk in the chat a little. My fiance, just being goofy, puts that the president is using tariffs to fund it. Yes, we are red and sister is blue. My sister doesn't ask nicely or anything. She just gets offended and extremely rude to my fiance instead of just saying, hey, can we not talk about politics? Says my fiance is rage baiting her. My fiance apologized. I told her the way she went about it being so rude to him was not right and he wasn't rage baiting her. She could have just asked nicely. She leaves the family chat. Someone adds her back in.
Well, yeah, I mean, you just got to think about she's being like, yeah, it's going to be hard to feed my family.
Right.
And he's just like, yeah, Trump's got it.
Ever since then, she's completely ignored anything to do with my kids in the chat. She'll ignore pictures of them or my daughter winning her sports tournaments, but has commented or liked my other nieces and nephews' pictures and activities, like she's purposely being petty towards my kids. My mom tells me she already said no to coming to my son's birthday party. So I decided to text her and ask her if she was coming. She ignored my text, but texted in the group chat. This was it for me. Not coming to your nephew's birthday party because you and his father have different political beliefs. So I text her telling her, out of all our fights our whole lives, I've always been there for her children and I always will. And her treating my kids less than was pitiful. I told her after everything, I still tried to include her in the kids' lives, especially my daughter's, because she wanted a relationship with her aunt. Betty's youngest son's birthday was right before my daughter's. I brought up how she didn't even invite my daughter to it. I told her I was done now and will no longer be cordial at family events. Me and my family will literally not speak to her, and she was no longer invited to my son's birthday, but her son was if someone else could bring him. She didn't respond, so I figured she blocked me. Well, I was wrong. Jill posts in the family chat about her kids. Guess who responds? Yep, Betty. Our other sister says something about her kid. Betty responds to that again. So I called her out in the group chat. Wow, Betty, replying about other people's kids because you like those family members while you actively ignore my kids and treat my kids differently because you don't agree with Mitchell and I? You actually have mental problems that you would treat daughter and son differently, and it's pathetic and extremely low even for you. Being petty about my kids or to my kids off limits, and that's all I have left to say. But I hope you guys agree with me when I say that you should go listen to full episodes of stories just like this. Go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, search up OK Storytime.
It's getting to a point where I don't think anyone's going to want to fix it because everyone's just going to be too petty. And too latched on to like the fight of it.
I really could have gotten over her being ridiculous to me and my fiance, but to act like this towards my kids is just beyond me. She didn't respond. Actually, no one said anything because no one says anything to her because they're afraid or don't want to deal with her rants and outbursts. It's only me that ever says something. She says I've changed, and I know I have. I'm healing from trauma and I'm maturing, so of course I won't be the same person 6 years ago. Am I the a-hole or am I in the right for officially cutting ties with Betty? And that is the end of that story. My thing is like, okay, if you're just gonna go and cut ties, sure. You can't expect the whole family to do that, but if you're like, yeah, I'm done with it, sure. My advice would be to maybe try therapy first.
My sister makes my life hell. And my family just watches.
Call her out on it.
And this is direct from the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So I found out today that my mom's coming out from out of state to visit for Christmas. Yay, right? Well, that's what I thought too. Instead, my family sadly has one of those group chats where we try to pretend to be a normal family. It doesn't start dinging until mom comes. This group chat consists of my sister-in-law, brother, sister, grandmother, and mom. By the way, this comes from user abjectad1758. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to the r/OK Storytime subreddit. I'm Dakota.
I'm Carly.
I'm Keon.
And we're here to just give you a little bit of good advice, goofily maybe, but we're just, we're just a little goofball, and we don't have all the answers. So if you have answers of your own, just let us know what they are in the comments. Brother messages the group chat, trying to figure out what to put together. Fair enough, right? I'll say I'll bake something because I'm the baker of the family, besides Grandma, but I remind my brother not to cook the turkey upside down again. My brother and I have this kind of relationship. My sister messaged something. She has me blocked, so I didn't see it directly. Get to the why later, but brother laughed and reacted to it, and that's how I saw exactly what was said. It was about, I vote cook turkey upside down to piss off OP. Cool. One would think she was teasing the younger sister, but here lies the issues. Before I even continue, we're just in petty territory.
This is just the episode of petty.
It's like, your older sister doesn't like you. Your older sister said something like, let's make her upset. She already has you blocked. So is it really that surprising to you that she would say something like this? We have to learn how to master our own, feelings about stuff. She has me blocked, so she said it thinking I wouldn't even see it. 2, she never talks to me, just about me. 3, she always makes rude remarks like that, and worse, about me, and only me. And 4, if I fight back, everyone gets mad at me and expects me to just get over it. So for some context, my sister and I are 7 years apart. My mom was young and dumb and wasn't the best mom when she had my older siblings. My grandmother helped with them along with other family members who I don't know that well. Well, then I came along and mom got her act together, for lack of better terms. She was never a bad mom, just young and learning. And she was completely there for me. I was her baby. She dated one guy before, stepdad, aka just dad for me. But outside of that, it was the 4 of us, my mom, siblings, and I. Well, sister had jealousy towards me because I got the better version of mom. From then on, she held the grudge. Not to mention, she had trauma like the rest of us, but from a younger age. Not my story, won't even touch on it anymore. Growing up, I freaking idolized my sister. She was the coolest thing since sliced bread. Well, I reached my teen years, My eyes opened up to her a little bit. You could tell she had some issues. She had her first child, and postpartum depression kicked in. During the first year of that kid's life, she had to move back in with her baby daddy and child. No big issue, yay, a baby. I love being an aunt. But then I was cleaning up after her baby daddy, and kid, plus me, my dad, and mom. She was sick and couldn't clean all the time. I was a teen, and I already hated my chores. But she never helped around the house. I would get yelled at to do it all and that I should be grateful to do it because mom brought me into this world and everyone else works. Okay, cool. That lasted 6 to 8 months. Sister and boyfriend get a place. Thank God, right? Well, no, because sister needed help at her house or needed a free babysitter. And my parents would force me to go do whatever she needed. Her house in a month was so bad that it took me a month to catch up her laundry, clean maggots out of the dishes. Only thing clean was the coffee pot and 1 cup. I cooked dinner for her and her baby daddy, who did help when he could, but worked almost 24/7 as a tow truck driver, while she worked 30 to 40 hours a week with a free live-in nanny, basically, and did nothing, literally nothing, wouldn't even shower. Now, yes, she was pregnant again, and lied about it until a month before the kid was born. But come on, pregnancy doesn't equal unable. I think we're making a lot of assumptions. I think we're working on not a full plate of information here, you know?
Yeah, I'm just a little bit lost. Like, I get it, but part of me is kind of like, what?
I mean, it sounds like there wasn't, enough money to go around to afford, babysitter, to afford daycare. You've got 2 kind of absentee, parents, and one of which is going through, went through postpartum and is now pregnant again, probably has a lot of feelings about that, already struggling with 1 child, now they're going to have another, a lot of moving pieces. So that went on for a whole summer, and thank goodness for school, because it was the only break I got from her for years. She ends up marrying and divorcing first baby daddy. I actually grew to like him as a person a little. He was still flawed and could have helped with his kids more, but as a person, not horrible. She gets with another one and gets pregnant for a 3rd time and married again. I didn't like this guy. He made me hate doing anything for my sister because of how uncomfortable he made me and my family. She got so depressed for her housekeeping got worse, and he made her take care of all their kids by herself. So rightfully, she got depressed. I ended up having my first kid 6 months after her 3rd and last kid, but then I got married. Bad move? Trust me. I went through the ringer there. But still, whenever my sister needed a babysitter, not free anymore, she called me until things got really bad, and I would tell her no. During all of this, though, she would always say something snippy and rude and try to monopolize my mom's time. I mean, she always had my mom's attention because she never let our mom forget how she wasn't there for her as much when she was younger. So because of that, I had to have my dad and sisters help with my first period, first heartbreak, etc. I'm also the only child they never saw graduate in person. I had to make it an FB Live just so my mom and dad could watch me graduate. Then if I was around her and my mom, she would always talk about how I didn't have friends or anything in school. Maybe it's because I had to be free to watch her kids at the drop of a dime for her to do something with our mom. It's always chalked up to her just teasing. Well, last year, our big blow up that completely ruined any chance of a sisterly relationship happened. I called about some 50 Shades of Grey books, making sure her kids didn't get a hold of them, because if they did, it would have been my fault. Let me clearly say that. Well, like I said, she's messed up and had just gotten off the phone with one of her ex-husbands about the kids. She thought I was questioning her parenting, but I wasn't. I don't judge any parents. If they're trying, they are a good parent. The only way to be a bad parent is to not try for your kids at all. My sister does try, and she is a good mom, just strict on some things. Her thinking I attacked her parenting attacked mine by saying I abandoned my kids. Long story, but I didn't. I called her a few very cruel words for a lady of the night. She is or was poly, and it was a jab at that because I don't agree with that, especially the way she did it. By the way, we are doing full episodes with stories like this every single day on your favorite podcast platform, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Just search OKstorytime, and you will have access to more stories.
Yeah.
This is a little too above our purview of ability to give real advice on.
Yeah.
Because there's so much going on that I'm sure we're not even clued into.
Right. Like, we are not ultimately psychologists and therapists.
Yeah.
So it's like very easy just to be like, go to therapy. I'm just kind of like, I'm sure it's because of a lot of how they were raised and like trauma that they went through and stuff. Like they go after each other for some things that I'm like, this really is something that we probably didn't need to be like bringing up. Like, we probably didn't need to be like, and then I jabbed at her because she was poly at one point.
So now I'm blocked and have been. I've been told to apologize and said I would when she does first because I always apologize first. Like when I smacked her for getting in my face and she gets away without apologizing. My sister literally has never apologized to me. So her remark in the family group chat is my breaking point. I mentally can't keep doing it and being expected to stay quiet, or if I speak up, I'm the disrespectful one and I need to respect boundaries. So I said, I'm not going. Am I the a-hole for not going even though my mom is coming from out of state?
I feel like if you really don't want to go and it's like it's just not going to be good and they're going to take just like they're just going to go at each other the whole time, like sure, don't go to that one, but I'm sure that you can still plan something or time to see your mom, like one-on-one with just you and your mom, and it can still be like a whole thing. You just probably wouldn't get Christmas because the plan for Christmas is already kind of preset.
Yeah, it's just such that's a wild vibe to have the family group chat and there's like 5 people in it and 2 of them have each other blocked. That's a wild vibe.
If you have someone blocked in a group chat, you wouldn't see their messages still, right?
Yeah, but she saw the reaction.
Okay.
So to the messages, so it was like the loophole, not the a-hole. I grew up in a similarly toxic family. My brothers and I don't communicate with anyone else in our family. We got tired of being the whipping posts and scapegoats until they needed money or childcare. We don't waste time with bullies and abusers anymore. Keep your peace. Leave the family group chat permanently. They try to add you, just leave again. There's no need to keep being the adult when your sister gets to have tantrums. Block you and keep everyone on her side. The family is enabling her bullying towards you, so they are spared by her wrath. You do not need this toxicity in your life any longer. Enjoy the holidays as you see fit without having to tiptoe around her moods and tantrums. OP says, the thing is, I have great relationships with my grandma and love seeing her because she randomly says crazy crap when there isn't BS from sister. Mom and I got a chance to heal our relationship. Brother and I outgrew our sibling rivalry, but sister, even when we are good, it's like walking on eggshells. And that is the end of that story. Maybe you two, if everything else is all right, maybe you two could just benefit from some therapy, some group therapy
even if
together.
The person, like the sister for the story, isn't willing to go, I always still think it's a great idea for you to still go get some for like your side of things. And I'm sure that therapists can offer, like, even without sister there, can kind of be like well, look at things from this way or look at things from this way, and it could still help you have more of an understanding of your sister, even though she's not doing her own healing, which she needs to do. It's like,
absolutely,
there's still benefits from one party going.
Fully agreed there.
My father tried to steal the house sale money after abandoning us for years.
That's my house. I just left.
My dad, 49 male, and I, 29 male, have been trying to sell the house. He's not fluent in English, so I've been doing the majority of the paperwork. He's also fixed up the house a bit with what money he could scrounge up. By the way, this comes from KP96, and if you want to submit your own story, go to the r/OKstorytime subreddit. I'm Sophia.
I'm Dakota.
And I'm Keon.
And we're here to give good advice goofily, but we don't have all the answers. We only know what we do. So let us know what you would do in the comments. A few weeks ago, we signed our closing documents and discussed how to distribute the proceeds. We did finalize on an equal split of 50-50 between my father and I. I explained it to him, in which he understood fully. Fast forward to today, I get an email with final documents to sign. When I went to review them, it showed 100% proceeds going to my dad. I was confused as to why that was the case, when we both agreed on it during our last signing. So I reached out to the closing agent for an explanation as to why this was the case. Spoiler! I never got an answer from them. The buyer for our house is closing in a few days, so we needed to get this matter dealt with ASAP. Then later that day, my dad calls me to discuss why I reached out to the agent and had them do a 50-50 split instead of giving him 100% of the closing proceeds. For a little backstory to explain, we bought the house 6 years ago, in which I had to help co-sign with my dad. Yeah, it was a terrible idea to do so that we could grab the house. The first year was pretty normal. Everyone kind of pitched in to pay for utilities and rent. There were 6 of us living there, with 5 who had stable income. Second year comes around and my dad found a new avenue to go and do shady work in the west side of the country. So he took some money and left to go follow. Throughout this time, my mother, 48 female, lost her job. My sister, 24 female, left before she got married. And my younger brother, 19 male, started college, so he couldn't work enough. That left me with paying most of all the bills on a single income. I did get a second job to bust butt, But that took quite a toll on me, so I went back to the one. Mind you, my dad was only ever back for a week once a month. So you can pretty much say he was never really around. He would also ask us to send him money. My mom would
Well,
send
now,
what
hold
she could.
If he was back for a week every month, if somebody came around and said, I'm taking 25% of your paycheck, would you say that that basically is not taking any of your paycheck? Because he was technically there 25% of the time. So 1/4 of the month is more than zero.
No, more than nothing.
Significantly more than none.
My mom would send what she could, but I told her not to do so since he wasn't even here to help her. The next 4 years ended up with me having to pay all the bills and take care of 3 other people with the majority of my income. I pulled work here and there to really scrape by as best as I could so that the others could still have a roof above their head. Now, I'll mention that my dad never once sent us money to help the family, only to pay for his bills. I love my dad, but his inability to help the more important matters was beyond sad. Fast forward to early last year, we found out that my dad had been in an affair with another woman from overseas. Us as kids were pretty straightforward with our disgust because we were old enough to understand, whereas my mother took it the worst. It broke her emotionally and mentally. There are a bunch of things that happened that I can't go into detail about. Eventually, my dad decided to return permanently, but the damage had been done. We didn't look at him the same, and then divorce papers came running. My parents had a whole entire episode of back and forth that ended with my mother moving out since the house was under me and my dad's name. My 2 younger brothers went with my mom since they enjoyed her company more. I left the house soon after as well since I had gotten engaged, and my fiance and I found better work in our South, which left my dad with a low-income job paying for the house by himself. I would send a little of what I could to help him scrape by. Now, back to the present. My dad asked why I was unwilling to give him 100% of the proceeds and he would distribute it how he saw fit. I told him exactly why. We both agreed to a 50-50 split when we were signing the documents with the closing agent, and now you're telling me to turn around and have them write it all to you? Says Opie. He then went on a long story as to why it should be 100% to him and he should split it how he saw fit. It all culminated on, 'cause for the last year since you all left, I've been paying for the mortgage and even used my own money to fix it up before it got up on the market.
Oh, you mean that thing that we were doing the whole time?
Yeah.
Oh, the thing we were doing the whole time.
The whole time?
Oh, we already did that. We did that.
And you did it for 1 month?
We did that more than you, actually. We did that a lot more than you did. So that's a good point. I'll give you 20%.
Yeah, you're actually getting less. Now, I don't know about you, but you aren't entitled to it all just because you did that for the year. If by his logic he's entitled to it because of the year and fixing it up, then the 4 years that he was absent and I took care of everything there meant I too was entitled to the money. My dad and I had quite a bit of back and forth until I eventually said, F it. You know what? I never cared about the money in the first place, but because you keep making it out like you're entitled to it, let's just do 40 me and 60% you and call it a day. He did seem to agree, but kept trying to guilt trip me with sob stories so that I would agree to the 100%. I told him clear as day, I'm telling you here now, Dad, I'll take 40 and you 60. Once we end the call here, I'm letting both our real estate agents and closing agents know. My dad went silent for a little while before trying to guilt trip me again with, if you see me as your dad, then you'd put it as 100 for me, and I'll give you what you deserve as my son.
That's actually insane.
Because clearly he wants to give you less than 40%. I think he was going to give you $1. I think he was going to give you an egg.
He's like, if you really see me as your father, you'll trust me to screw you over, and you'll let it happen.
You'll thank me for it.
Because I'm your dad.
I ended the call right there and then. I emailed our agents and am now just waiting to hear back before the closing date for our buyers. I would have lowered my portion more had he not been so insistent. Am I the a-hole for doing it the way I did? And there are some comments, but Dakota.
No, in fact, you should have actually started to be like, I'm starting to feel like I deserve more money just for dealing with you like this.
Yeah. You can't just, I would not have caved to giving him even 60% because that is too much money.
Too much.
And he does not deserve any of it. Comment 1. The most important information is not given to us in your post. You say you consigned his loan for the house and that your mom moved out because the house was in your and your father's name. But please say straight out, are you also on the deed as an equal owner? OP says, dang, can't believe I forgot that. I was still livid while typing it all down. Yes, my name is on both the deed and the loan. Then why are you giving him 60? Take 40. Take that 40. Reply. Listen, I'm gonna be nice here. But you're not the brightest crayon in the box. What your family thinks don't matter. Their opinions don't pay the bills. OP says, yeah, that's fact, and it's not going to be productive. I'm fine leaving the fun sitting there. And another comment says, not the a-hole. In the absence of any other language, you and your father are equal co-owners and entitled to an equal split. I suggest doing a spreadsheet of the house expenses, the actual building only, so mortgage, insurance, taxes, etc. Tell your father that if his contribution is over 50%, then he can add the overage to his half. If his contribution is less than 50%, if you're feeling generous, you can still give him 50%. But you're legally entitled to your half, so if you don't want to bother with all that, just take it. Dad's either being greedy or he wants to be the big man. There is an update, but you guys could be the big man too if you listen to full episodes of stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or iHeartRadio and search up Storytime. But there is a little bit left. Any final thoughts for OP?
I think you should start itemizing from now on. Anything, any expense you incur because of your father, you need to like list it and then send him an invoice for it forever.
Yeah.
And
Ever.
you'll say, if you see me as your son, you will pay for these
You'll
bills.
pay me. If you see me as your son, you'll pay for my In-N-Out. I want this burger. Someone mentioned if my name was on the deed. Short answer is yes. Update 2. My dad decided he wanted to escalate the issue to our relatives. So now we're going to discuss this with relatives and come to a consensus. Why?
Why? Like, what does that have to do with?
Why?
Well, I think we should talk about it with more people who don't really have any bearing on it.
Your relatives aren't on the freaking lease or the anything.
The equivalent of that is what he's really saying is, well, I'm going to make this everyone's problem, and I'm going to make people choose sides, and I'm going to mess up our entire family over this.
And you're going to be happy about it if you're my son. I'm already pulling documents to show why he shouldn't get 100% proceeds. I've got my stuff ready to retort any statement my dad will come up with. Even if my relatives agree that my dad should get 100%, it doesn't matter because they have no say. They have literally no say. It's like me being like,
Albanos.
It's like me being like, well, I think that freaking prime minister in London should be different. I don't have a say. I don't live there.
I don't even think people in London have a say in
No.
that, really.
It's like someone
I
in
think
London
doesn't
saying,
the parliament vote for that? There's a
Well,
very
they-
select group of people who have a say in that.
well, no, they vote for
So then I guess, do the people vote for their parliament?
yeah, they vote for the
members?
parliament, and then the parliament votes.
So it's like, yeah, by proxy,
Yeah, I mean, that's what we do.
in a way. We don't. Let's not.
I'm still not going to agree to anything, and that's the end of the story. But we get another one. Not in this episode, though,
Not in this one.
because this episode is over.
It is.
So if you love us, make sure to subscribe.
We love you.
And see you tomorrow.